The conference room went silent. 20 investors. Mahogany table. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city I'd conquered. And my sister, standing at the head of the table with a laser pointer aimed at my chest like a loaded gun. These transfers, Jessica tapped the projection screen. 200,000, then 350, then 500,000. All routed to offshore accounts. All signed off by Veronica. My employees pressed against the glass walls outside. Security had locked them out of their own offices. The board members I'd personally recruited stared at me like I'd already been convicted. I didn't move, didn't speak. Just watched my baby sister. The girl I'd put through college, given her first real job, taught everything I knew. Try to destroy me with my own company letterhead. Check the account transfers, she said, her voice steady. Rehearsed. The evidence is irrefutable. The chairman's hand moved toward his phone. One call and the SEC would be here within the hour. My empire, 8 years of 16-hour days, missed birthdays, sacrificed relationships, would collapse before lunch. I stood up. Slowly. Every eye in the room tracked my movement. I'd like to request one thing before this goes any further. Jessica's jaw tightened. She hadn't expected me to speak. What's that? The chairman asked. I pulled my laptop from my bag, set it on the table, opened a folder I'd created at 3 a.m. that morning when I'd finally understood what my sister had been doing for the past 2 years. Give me 10 minutes. My name is Veronica Chen, and I built Tech Bridge Solutions from nothing. Absolutely nothing. A studio apartment, a maxed-out credit card, and an idea that every investor in the city called too ambitious, or not scalable, or my personal favorite. Maybe when you have more experience, honey. I was 26 when I landed my first client, a mid-sized manufacturing company that needed custom inventory software. They gave me 90 days and a budget that barely covered my operating costs. I delivered in 60, under budget. Their efficiency jumped 40% in the first quarter. Word spread. Not fast, never fast enough, but steady. By 28, I had 4 employees and an office that wasn't my living room. By 30, I'd hired employee number 43. That's when Jessica called. She was graduating from state with a degree in business administration. No job lined up. No real plan. Just a resume that looked good on paper and a voice on the phone that cracked when she said, I know we haven't been close, but I need help. We hadn't been close. Our parents died when I was 22 and she was 15. I'd been so consumed with building something, anything, to keep us afloat that I'd basically outsourced her teenage years to our aunt in Connecticut. I'd sent money, made phone calls on her birthday, showed up for graduation. But close? No, we weren't close. I'll hire you, I told her. Entry level, business development, you'll work your way up like everyone else. Thank you. The relief in her voice was tangible. You won't regret this. She started the following Monday. Showed up early. Stayed late. Asked smart questions. The other BDs liked her, said she had good instincts, that she could read a room. Within 6 months, I promoted her to senior associate. You're moving fast, my COO Marcus warned. People are noticing. She's earned it. She's your sister. Which means she has to work twice as hard to prove she's not getting special treatment. And she has. Marcus didn't push it. But I saw the look. The same look I'd gotten from every VC who'd turned me down before I proved them wrong. Doubt dressed up as concern. Jessica kept performing. Closed 3 major contracts in her first year. One of them, a manufacturing conglomerate out of Dallas, became our second largest client. She'd flown out there alone, pitched them for 4 hours straight, and came back with a signed LOI worth $8 million over 3 years. I gave her a corner office. This is incredible, she breathed, standing at the window. I can see the whole city. You earned it. She turned to me. I know I wasn't there when you were building this, when it was hard, but I'm here now, and I won't let you down. I believed her. Architected narrative progression through betrayal, investigation, and confrontation. Good start. I'm at about 650 words. I need to continue building the story, showing Jessica's integration into the company, the growing trust, then the first signs of trouble, the investigation, and finally, the boardroom confrontation. Let me continue with the narrative progression. 2 years later, we were preparing for Series B funding, 30 million. 5 investors already committed. We just needed board approval and the due diligence to clear. That's when the auditors found the discrepancies. It's probably nothing, our CFO Sarah told me. Could be a software glitch. But there are some transactions flagged in the system. Transfers that don't match our standard protocols. How much? Total? About 900,000. My stomach dropped. Where did it go? That's what we're trying to figure out. The destinations are complicated. Shell companies, international accounts, whoever set this up knew what they were doing. Who had access to authorized transfers at that level? Sarah's face went carefully neutral. You, me, Marcus, and Jessica. I didn't sleep that night. Sat in my office going through every transaction, every approval, every digital signature. The pattern emerged slowly, then all at once. The transfers always happened on Thursdays. Always between 2 and 4 p.m. Always when I was in client meetings or off-site presentations. Always when Jessica was supposed to be covering my oversight responsibilities. Each transfer had been routed through a different shell company, but they all eventually funneled to the same place. An account in the Caymans, registered to a holding company called Chen Enterprises LLC. Chenny? My last name. Her last name. I called Marcus at midnight. We have a problem. He came to the office, brought Sarah. We locked the door and I walked them through everything I'd found. 6 months of transfers, 14 separate transactions, all bearing Jessica's authorization code. She's been embezzling from us, Sarah said flatly, using your name to cover her tracks. We don't know that for sure, Marcus argued. Maybe someone hacked her credentials. Maybe. Look at the timing. I pulled up the calendar overlays. Every single transfer happened during meetings she specifically scheduled for me. She made sure I'd be unavailable. She made sure she'd be the only senior executive in the office. Sarah leaned back in her chair. What do you want to do? I want to confront her. Now. Bad idea, Marcus said. If she did this, she's smart enough to have a contingency plan. You confront her directly, she'll lawyer up or disappear. We need to be strategic. Strategic how? The board meeting? 3 days from now. We present the audit findings, let her hang herself with her own explanations, with witnesses, on record. I looked at Sarah. She nodded slowly. It's the safest play, legally speaking. Fine. But I'm getting ahead of this. I want every transaction traced, every account identified. I want to know exactly where that money went, and I want proof, absolute, irrefutable proof, that she's the one who took it. The next 72 hours were the longest of my life. I pretended everything was normal, had lunch with Jessica on Tuesday, discussed the upcoming investor meetings, laughed at her jokes. You seem tense, she said, studying me across the table. Big week. Lots riding on this funding round. We'll crush it. We always do. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. I've got your back, V. Always. I wanted to pull away. Wanted to scream at her. But I just smiled and said, I know. That night, the forensic accountant I'd hired sent me his preliminary findings. The Cayman account had made regular outward transfers to a property management company in Miami, to a luxury car dealership in Manhattan, to a private equity firm in Monaco. Jessica had bought a penthouse, a Tesla, a stake in a European startup, all with money she'd stolen from the company we'd built together. All while looking me in the eye every single day and calling me her sister. Wednesday, I got the final report. The accountant had traced every dollar, had screenshots of the account activity, had documentation linking the shell companies to Jessica's personal information, driver's license, social security number, even a notarized document with her signature. This is airtight, He told me, if you take this to the authorities, she's going to prison. Not yet. Tomorrow. Board meeting? I want witnesses. Your call. But Ms. Chen? Be careful. People do desperate things when they're cornered. I didn't understand what he meant until Thursday morning. I arrived at the office at 6 a.m. The board meeting wasn't until 9. I wanted time to prepare, to rehearse what I'd say, to mentally prepare for the moment I'd destroy my only remaining family member. Jessica was already there, sitting in the main conference room, with 3 of the 5 board members, and a projection screen displaying bank statements, my bank statements, with transactions highlighted in red. Veronica. She stood when I walked in. Her face was composed, sympathetic. We need to talk. What's going on? The chairman, David Morrison, a venture capitalist who'd backed me since Series A, gestured to a chair. Sit down, please. I sat, every instinct screaming that something was catastrophically wrong. Jessica clicked to the next slide. Yesterday, I discovered some concerning irregularities in our financial systems. I wanted to bring them to the board's attention before our funding meeting. My blood went cold. These transfers, she continued, represent significant unauthorized movement of company funds, nearly $1 million routed through various offshore accounts, and they all bear the same authorization signature. She clicked again. My digital signature filled the screen. I didn't want to believe it, Jessica said, and her voice actually trembled. She's my sister. She gave me everything, but the evidence is irrefutable. David looked at me like I'd shot his dog. Veronica, this is extremely serious. This is bullshit. I stood up. Jessica, what the hell are you doing? I'm doing what I should have done the moment I found these transactions. I'm protecting this company. I'm protecting our investors. I'm protecting our employees. She turned to the board. I've already contacted legal counsel. They're preparing a full report for the SEC. You're framing me. The words came out strangled. You're the one who's been stealing. I have proof. The proof is right here. She cut me off, gesturing to the screen. Your signatures, your authorization codes. I know this is hard to accept, but the data doesn't lie. Marcus burst through the door. Don't say anything else, Veronica. Not a word. It's too late for damage control, Jessica said softly. The other investors are being briefed right now. By noon, everyone will know. The rest of the board arrived. Then the investors. 20 people crammed into a conference room meant for 12. My employees gathered outside the glass walls, phones out, whispering. Jessica presented her case with devastating precision. Showed the transfers, the offshore accounts, my signatures on every authorization form. She'd even created a timeline showing when each transaction occurred. All during business hours, all when I had full access to the systems. I don't want to believe my sister would do this, she said, and I swear there were actual tears in her eyes. But I can't ignore the facts. As acting CFO, you're not CFO, I interrupted. Sarah is CFO. Sarah submitted her resignation this morning, effective immediately. She said she couldn't work for a company involved in financial fraud. Jessica's voice stayed level, concerned. I've assumed her responsibilities temporarily, until this is resolved. Sarah had quit. My CFO, the one person who knew I was investigating Jessica, had walked away without a word. The chairman cleared his throat. Veronica, I think it's best if you step back from daily operations while we sort this out. We'll need to conduct a full investigation. I welcome an investigation, I said. In fact, I insist on one. But first, I'd like to request one thing. Jessica's mask slipped for just a second. A flash of panic quickly hidden. What's that? David asked. I pulled my laptop from my bag. Give me 10 minutes, that's all I need. 10 minutes to show you what's really been happening in this company. Veronica, I don't think... Jessica started. If I'm guilty, 10 minutes won't change that. But if I'm innocent... I looked directly at my sister. Then everyone in this room deserves to see the truth. David glanced at the other board members, nodded slowly. 10 minutes. I connected my laptop to the projection system, opened the folder I'd labeled Evidence. 3 days ago, our auditors flagged unusual transactions. $900,000 transferred to offshore accounts over 6 months. The transfers bore my authorization signature, or what appeared to be my authorization signature. I pulled up the first document. This is one of Jessica's authorization forms. Look at the metadata, created on July 15th. But look at this. I zoomed in on the signature field. The image file for my signature was last modified on July 14th, 24 hours before she supposedly created this form. Jessica's face had gone pale. Someone created a template of my signature and inserted it into these forms retroactively. Someone who had access to our document management system. Someone who knew how to manipulate metadata. I clicked to the next slide. The same someone who authorized the actual transfers. I pulled up the wire receipts. The real ones. Not the doctored versions Jessica had shown. These are from our bank. Unedited. Every transfer that left our company accounts has 2 authorization signatures, mine and one other. Watch what happens when I cross-reference the authorization code. The screen split. Left side, my authorization code. Right side, Jessica's. Every single transfer showed her code. But that's not the smoking gun, I said. The smoking gun is where the money went. I pulled up the Cayman account. Statements. Chen Enterprises LLC. Sounds legitimate, except it's registered to a single owner. One person who created the company 4 months after joining TechBridge Solutions. I displayed the registration documents, Jessica's signature, her social security number, her passport number. My sister didn't just steal from this company, she built an entire infrastructure to do it. Shell companies, fake documentation, a paper trail designed to implicate me while she siphoned off nearly $1 million. The room was dead silent. And in case you think I fabricated any of this, I pulled up my final document. This is from forensic accountant Michael Torres. He's been investigating our finances independently for 72 hours. His report confirms every transaction originated from Jessica's workstation, on her login credentials, during times when she was physically present in the office and I was not. I looked at Jessica. She was frozen, completely still. The money went to a penthouse in Miami, a Tesla Model S, an investment in a Monaco startup, all purchased in the last 6 months, all traceable to the same offshore account, the account you created, the account you controlled. David was staring at Jessica like he'd never seen her before. Is this true? Jessica's mouth opened, closed, opened again. She's lying. This is doctored. She's trying to frame me because I exposed her. The bank records are public. I cut her off. The forensic accountant's report is notarized. The SEC can verify every single document I've shown you, every transfer, every account, every purchase. I leaned forward. But here's my favorite part. The part that really shows how smart you thought you were. I pulled up one more file. You created those fake authorization forms using my signature template. But you made one mistake. One tiny, stupid mistake. You used the template from our old document system, the one we migrated away from 8 months ago. The signature file has a date stamp showing when it was extracted from the old database. I zoomed in. July 14th. The same day you created all these fake forms, you pulled my signature from archived files and pasted it onto documents backdated to look like they were created months ago. But the metadata doesn't lie. Jessica stood abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. I'm calling my lawyer. Sit down. David's voice cracked like a whip. Sit. Down. She sat. You came into this meeting accusing your sister of embezzlement. You presented evidence of financial fraud. You demanded board action. He turned to me. Now she's presented evidence that you're the one who committed that fraud. Evidence that appears significantly more comprehensive than what you showed us. It's fabricated? The bank records are fabricated. The forensic accountant's report is fabricated. Your signature on the Cayman account registration is fabricated? David's face was red. How stupid do you think We are? I want my lawyer, Jessica whispered. You're going to need one. David pulled out his phone. I'm calling the authorities. Corporate fraud, embezzlement, falsifying documents. Wait. I held up a hand. Before you do that, there's one more thing you should see. I pulled up the final file. After I discovered what Jessica was doing, I installed monitoring software on her workstation, with IT's approval and legal oversight. Everything she did in the last 48 hours was recorded. I clicked play. The video showed Jessica's screen. Timestamp: Wednesday, 11:47 p.m. She was creating the presentation she'd shown this morning, the one accusing me of embezzlement. We watched her doctor my signatures, watched her manipulate timestamps, watched her create fake wire receipts designed to implicate me, and we heard her talking to someone on speakerphone. The meeting's set for 9 a.m. By the time she realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. The board will force her out. I'll take over as interim CEO and... A male voice. And the money? Offshore. Untouchable. She'll take the fall for all of it. What if she has evidence? Jessica laughed. She won't. I've been too careful. And even if she does, it won't matter. I'm presenting first. By the time she tries to defend herself, I'll have already poisoned the well. The board will think anything she shows them is a desperate attempt to shift blame. The video ended. The conference room stayed silent for a full 10 seconds. Then David picked up his phone. I'm calling the police. Jessica tried to run, made it to the door before Marcus blocked her path. Move, she hissed. No. I said move. Security's already outside. The building's locked down. The only place you're going is a holding cell. She turned to me. The mask was completely gone now. Nothing left but rage and desperation. You self-righteous bitch. You think you're so much better than me. You with your perfect company and your perfect reputation. You left me to rot with Aunt Linda while you played CEO. You abandoned me. I was 22 years old and our parents were dead. I did the best I could. Your best wasn't good enough. She was screaming now. Employees pressed against the glass, phones recording everything. You got everything. The company, the success, the recognition. What did I get? A job I had to beg for. An office I had to earn. Always in your shadow. Always second place. So you tried to destroy me. I tried to take what should have been mine from the beginning. We're both Chens. Both orphans. Both brilliant. But you got the head start and I got the scraps. This company should have been ours. Equal partners. Instead, you treated me like another employee. You were another employee. I hired you because you're my sister. I promoted you because you earned it. And you thanked me by stealing $1 million and trying to send me to prison. The police arrived. 2 officers in uniform, followed by 2 detectives in suits. Jessica Chen? The lead detective asked. She didn't answer, just stared at me with pure hatred. Jessica Chen, you're under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and falsifying corporate documents. The detective began reading her rights while his partner produced handcuffs. She didn't resist, didn't cry, just kept staring at me as they cuffed her wrists. You'll regret this, she said quietly. Family is supposed to protect each other. You chose them over me. You chose money over family the moment you stole that first 100,000. Everything that happens now is on you. They led her away. Through the office, past the employees she'd worked with for 3 years, past the people who'd trusted her, treated her like family. The building was so quiet I could hear her footsteps echoing down the hall. David approached me after the police left. I owe you an apology. You were responding to what looked like credible evidence. No apology necessary. Still, we should have questioned more, asked for your side before calling this meeting. She was counting on that. On your panic. On your instinct to protect the company. I closed my laptop. She knew exactly which buttons to push. What will you do now? Hire a new CFO. Repair our relationships with the investors. Move forward with Series B funding. I looked at him. This company isn't going to collapse because my sister made bad choices. And personally, I thought about Jessica, about the little girl I'd sent away when our parents died, about the graduate I'd hired despite having dozens of more qualified applicants, about the sister who'd sat across from me at lunch 3 days ago and promised she had my back. Personally, I'm going to accept that some people can't be saved, that sometimes love isn't enough, that trust, once broken, can't always be repaired. I picked up my bag, and I'm going to build something so successful, so undeniably mine, that no one can ever take it from me again. Marcus found me in my office an hour later. The building had emptied. Just us and the security guard downstairs. Sarah called. She didn't quit. Jessica forged her resignation email. I figured. She wants her job back. Tell her we'll talk, but not today. He sat in the chair across from my desk. You okay? No, but I will be. What she said about you abandoning her was bullshit. I did what I could with what I had. I was a kid too, drowning in grief and responsibility. I couldn't parent her and build a career and keep us afloat financially. Something had to give. She doesn't see it that way. She doesn't want to see it that way. Because accepting that I tried my best means accepting that she's responsible for her own choices, that her bitterness is her own creation, that I'm not the villain in her story. I leaned back in my chair. But I can't force her to see reality. I can only control my own action. And my action is this. I'm done sacrificing my peace for people who see my generosity as weakness. Marcus nodded slowly. The investors are spooked. 2 of them are asking for additional audits before they'll commit their funds. Then we'll give them audits. We'll give them full transparency. We'll show them that TechBridge Solutions is built on legitimate success, not fraud. And if they walk, we'll find different investors, better ones, investors who understand that crisis reveals character, and our character held firm under pressure. Jessica's trial took 8 months. Wire fraud, embezzlement, falsifying documents, identity theft. The prosecution had so much evidence they could have filled a library. My testimony alone took 3 days. Her defense argued that I'd framed her, that I'd fabricated the evidence to cover my own crimes, that sibling rivalry had driven me to destroy her life. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s who looked like she'd heard every excuse ever invented, didn't mince words. Ms. Chen, you violated the trust of your employer, your sister, and your investors. You created an elaborate scheme designed to destroy an innocent woman's reputation while enriching yourself. You showed no remorse, no accountability, no recognition of the harm you caused. This court sentences you to 7 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years supervised release. You'll also be required to pay full restitution to TechBridge Solutions in the amount of $973,000, plus interest and legal fees. Jessica's face stayed blank, empty, like she'd already left the room. I didn't feel victorious, didn't feel vindicated, just tired, sad, grieving the sister I'd wanted to have, the family I'd hoped we could be. But I didn't regret turning her in, didn't regret testifying, didn't regret choosing justice over blood, because family isn't just DNA, it's loyalty, trust, mutual respect. And Jessica had destroyed all of that the moment she decided her resentment was worth more than our relationship. TechBridge Solutions closed Series B funding 9 months after Jessica's arrest, $35 million. 6 new investors who'd done their homework and decided we were worth the risk. We hired a new CFO, promoted Marcus to president, expanded into 3 new markets. By my 35th birthday, we'd grown from 43 employees to 212. Our annual revenue hit $80 million. Forbes named me one of the top entrepreneurs under 40. I bought a penthouse, not in Miami, in Manhattan. 10th floor, panoramic views, actual financial legitimacy. Sometimes I think about Jessica. Wonder if she regrets her choices. Wonder if she's sitting in prison still. blaming me for her consequences. Mostly, though, I don't think about her at all. Because I built this. Every client, every employee, every successful quarter. Me, not my sister, not my family name, not some inheritance or lucky break. Just Veronica Chen and 8 years of refusing to quit. The investors tried to bury me. My own sister tried to frame me. The board almost believed the lies. But I walked into that boardroom with evidence and walked out with my company intact. Because the truth, when you have the receipts to prove it, is undefeatable. And I always keep receipts.